Hi, I am Ashley Konarik, a graduate student in the Master of Science Forensic Science program at Sam Houston State University. I am going to show you how to use an electrostatic dust lift kit as well as a stereo microscope. These techniques not only allow you to collect evidence from a crime scene and preserve it, but also to compare trace evidence with known substances to identify what the evidence is composed of. One can then possibly define where the evidence originated from, leading him or her to a possible suspect that committed the crime from which the evidence was taken from. The electrostatic dust lifting method originated in Japan at the Metropolitan Police Department in May 1965 for the exact reproduction of footmarks in criminal investigations. A police identification officer named Kato Masao from the Marugame Police Station in Shikoku, Japan, was documented to have invented the electrostatic method for lifting prints. He came up with this idea when working on his research. He noticed that a considerable amount of dust had been accumulated around the high-tension circuit of the television set on which he was working. After experimenting with this discovery, he concluded that the high-voltage current produced by certain television parts could be used in a similar way to assist in lifting latent footwear impressions. One of the first complete assemblies of this machine is shown here with the electrostatic machine attached to a print-taking panel through the insulated cord. Each of the major parts of the static electrical machine can be seen here too, along with a short instruction list. A diagram of the overall functioning of the main parts of the electrostatic dust lift technique is shown here to give a better idea of how the assembly should be set up. These are some examples of a dust lift kit used currently. The kits may include an electrostatic voltage control unit, a ground plane that is made of nickeled steel and is approximately 4 by 6 inches, a ground plate made of polycarbonate, an insulating sheet approximately 5 by 7 inches, lifting foils that are about 12 by 36 inches, an insulated mat roller, a static discharge cable and charging wand, 9-volt alkaline batteries, a battery charger with 230 volts per 50 hertz, a roll of lifting material that is about 12 inches by 50 feet, a cutter, and rulers. When crime scene investigators arrive at a crime scene, they must be very careful not to overlook any impressions or dust prints because those could contain some very important evidence to lead them to a suspect that committed a crime when the incident took place. Once a dust print is found in a dry area at the crime scene, the electrostatic dust lift kit can be used to lift the print from the surface it is lying on. By using oblique lighting with the flashlight, the print can become more defined. The flashlight should be shining on the surface of the print at a 45-degree angle. A photograph of the print must be taken before attempting any lifting of the dust print. Set the voltage on the electrostatic control unit to low and place the ground plate under the dust print if applicable. If it cannot be placed underneath the print, place the plate next to the print with the metal side facing down. Clasp the yellow cable onto the ground plate. Next, apply a portion of the lifting material to the print with the black side down and touching the print. Cut the remaining lifting roll away from the portion being used. Apply the silver end of the red charging wand anywhere to the lifting material that's on the print. On the control unit, turn the power on and slowly raise the voltage until it has reached the maximum voltage. With the charging wand still making contact with the lifting sheet, roll the insulated roller over the sheet. Gently roll it so that the sheet can adhere to the surface of the print. Once the complete surface has been rolled, turn down the voltage to low on the control unit and then turn the power off. Slowly peel the lifting material from the surface of the print and place the silver side of the sheet face down on a flat surface. Once again, using a flashlight, oblique lighting should be used to ensure that you have recovered the dust print, or other evidence that was intended to be lifted, onto the black portion of the lifting sheet. Carefully take the lifting sheet to a flat and sturdy folder or piece of thin cardboard with the dust print facing up so that it is not able to touch any other object that may disrupt the integrity of the print. The tape should not be touching any part of the print. The print taped to the folder or piece of cardboard can then be placed in a small cardboard box by itself so the print does not become rubbed off. The folder or piece of cardboard can also be taped to the box so that the print will not be ruined during the transportation of the evidence. Never place any prints or evidence in plastic bags because moisture in the bag can cause an increase in the growth of bacteria and fungus which can destroy the evidence. Also, the print may become transferred onto the plastic bag. Once the dust print is transported to the crime lab, a trace impression expert analyzes the print pattern and compares it to the sole pattern of shoes from possible suspects. Test impressions of the suspect's shoes can be made in order to repeat the same print patterns found at the crime scene. An example of this is shown here in the right lower corner. A stereo microscope can be used to help identify and compare the patterns of the unknown print to the patterns of the suspect's shoes. If very little of the dust print is recovered in trying to find a conclusive match of a suspect's shoe that was at the crime scene, a stereo microscope can then be used to look at macroscopic characteristics of the substances that made up the electrostatic lifted print. A couple of examples of a stereo microscope are shown here, with this one at the bottom having the parts of it labeled. First, plug in the microscope's power cord into an outlet so that it is out of the way of your working area and from others around you. Place the microscope on a flat and stable surface where you will have plenty of room to work. Turn on the light source at the knob that controls the light as shown here in the blue square. Some have a switch to turn the power on and a dial to adjust the lighting. Next, center a small amount of the substances from the lifted print onto the stage of the microscope. The sample is centered in the middle of the stage plate as circled here in green. In order to obtain the best contrast, use the white side of the stage plate for darker specimens and the black side of the plate for lighter specimens. It can be flipped over in order to change. The stage clips can be used to hold the sample in place if needed. Adjust the oculars so that you can look at the specimen through the microscope without straining your eyes. Make sure that you can see one image of the specimen while looking through both oculars. Slowly turn the knob on the side of the microscope as shown here to focus the specimen so that you can see a sharp, clear image. Note characteristics of the substances that were taken from the print, such as shape, color, texture, quantity, and so forth. Known standard samples can be obtained from various soils, sands, hairs, fibers, glass, and other objects that may be found on the soles of an individual's shoes. These can be examined under the stereo microscope to exclude substances that were not in the print that was recovered from the crime scene. If substances found in the lifted print cannot be excluded from the known samples based on characteristics, this can help the investigator determine the possible area of origin that these substances from the lifted print originated from. And thus, this trace evidence can provide potential leads to identify a suspect who most likely was present at the crime scene. Therefore, this will be beneficial in identifying a possible suspect who may have committed the crime. The case has been closed. Thank you for your time.